Are you like most busy people, stressed and inundated with health advice? This overwhelm is not helping your health. You see, one day I woke up in severe pain and I could not walk. I was dragging myself around the house in my office chair with wheels. I tried Tylenol, the pain didn't go away. I tried Motrin, the pain didn't go away either. I then remembered that an 80-year-old cardiologist had told me about turmeric. I rushed to the store and bought a turmeric supplement. After taking only one capsule, about 1 hour later, I was able to walk again, pain-free. This miraculous experience made me a firm believer in quality holistic remedies. I am Dr. Adeola, the body activator. That was me, a nurse, a pharmacist, and a public health professional. I didn't know that I was suffering from inflammation despite all my years of education. Now, I have been able to get to the root cause of my health challenges, and I feel great and full of energy. I don't want you to learn the hard way like I did. So, I created the Wellness Search podcast to share simple, actionable changes that you can make to activate your body to heal naturally today. Here, we will have conversations about food, fitness, mental health, and all that is in between. Now, let's get started. Before we head on to the show, let's hear a short message. If you haven't been feeling like yourself, you're not sleeping well, you find yourself waking up several times in the middle of the night, you can't lose weight, I'm talking to you. You may be on the verge of insulin resistance. I am Dr. Adeola, the body activator. I specialize in helping people activate their body and jumpstart their wellness. I want to challenge you to a 4-week wellness search where you will have 4 weeks to jumpstart your wellness, and I will support your every need. You will also get specialized quality natural supplements to do amazing things to your body to make sure that it is ready to make this change. So head on to wellnesssurge.com, wellnesssurge.com to save your spot in this limited time challenge. Hello, this is Dr. Adeola. I recorded this podcast a while ago. It is an oldie but a goodie. It is filled with gems, and I would like you to listen to the end for new insights. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wellness Search podcast. Today we have Uthman Khan with us, and he will be discussing his wellness journey to reverse diabetes. So Uthman is an academic dean and professor of theology. He is a certified personal trainer and a certified nutrition and health coach. Alrighty, so he has too many distinctions and too many certifications for me to discuss today in the academic, fitness, and nutrition space. So he's well covered. Alrighty, so Uthman, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
So my name is Uthman Khan. Yeah, I do have a little bit of an interesting journey. I focus a lot on my academics. Because of my wellness and health journey, I started to shift my attention towards like nutrition and healing and in that line. And that's why I just started to just pile up on certifications and just try to get like information and knowledge and stuff on that regard.
Yeah, when I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, whoa. More power to you. So good job. All right, he's going to talk to us about his wellness journey to reverse diabetes. So if you don't mind me asking this a lot of women don't like this question, but if you don't mind me asking, before you started your wellness journey, right, what did you weigh before?
Well, I was almost 480 pounds.
Wow.
So I was huge. I was pretty big. It was hard for me to walk. It was hard for me to I was limping all the time. I used to love the parking spots right in front of everything. So I don't have to walk too far to get anywhere. It was a hassle to do anything.
Okay, alrighty. So obviously you can all see that he's no longer 480 pounds. So he's done something right. Okay, so what made you decide to change? That's the big question now.
I went through a whole bunch of like talked to different people, did a bunch of things to try to change. First, I tried to start doing like random exercise, but then because I was so big, it was hard for me to do anything. So I couldn't jump like I'm talking about like skipping. I couldn't even jump. I can't walk. Walking is hard because it's hurting my knees. I can't. Any sort of workouts would be tough. Every personal trainer or anyone who's into health and fitness, everyone has their own opinion on what to do. So I would go to one person and I would just follow that, and then I would go to another person, follow that, and then most of them are contradictory. When it came to eating food, after a while, I mean, you just like start to restrict. So then I started restricting my calories. How much I'm restricting my calories, it works good for one day, and then the next day you're just hungry, and then you get more and more hungry, and then it just doesn't work after that. So so much stuff out there. I realized that what's out there is not actually good for you. So after a while, what happened is I started to feel. Well, I went to the doctor, and the doctor, I don't know what the doctor did, but he acted shady behind my back. And what he did is he's like, I need to get a blood test for something. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I went and got my blood test done, and he's like, and he did the diabetes blood test. I don't think I went for diabetes. I don't know what I went for. I went for something. And when I went to get that blood test done, he's like, well, your A1C is very high. He's like, we're gonna do a test again after 3 months. I was like, okay, cool.
So what was your A1C? Just
I was, I think, 10.7 or something, or 10.3 or 10 point, around there.
Okay, alrighty. So for people that don't know what that means, 10.3 means you've got full-blown diabetes. Okay,
Yeah. So, but then, so I didn't know he's doing a blood test. So I did a whole fasted, whatever. Then he's like 3 months later, he's like, come back and do the test. We're gonna do a test again. And I was like, I guess he told me, he's like, well, he might make it sound nice. He's like, well, you're on the verge of diabetes. So I was like, okay. That's cool. He's like, just change your diet. 3 months from now, we come back, we'll do another test. So within 3 months, it's about testing your red blood cells, right? So within 3 months, I did some crazy changes. So I started eating whole wheat, mainly like changing everything to brown. Whole wheat, just eating earlier dinner, and you name it, did all of the good stuff. And it didn't really make an impact because when I went to get my blood test after that, it went up to like 10.8.
Oh gosh.
So nothing worked, and I was like, I did all the good stuff. So then that's when he gave me metformin, and he said, yeah, you have to take metformin. So I was like, okay, cool. On my way home from the doctor, he's like, you have diabetes. He's like, look, like to me it was like an announcement, like, dear sir, you now have diabetes. And I was like, yes, it is. He gave me the medicine, and I had it in a little bag.
So sorry, how old were you? How old were you when all this started? And like at the time you were diagnosed with diabetes?
2016. I was probably, oh no, my age. I'm gonna give away my age now. No, it's okay. I don't remember how old I was. I was probably 31, 32.
Okay.
Around
okay,
there.
That's a pretty young age. Okay. Yes.
Anyways, on my way home, I live in Edmonton, Alberta now, but I used to live on the other side of Toronto, and he was in another city on the other side of Toronto. So it was like a 45-minute drive. So I was on my way home. I was doing what you're not supposed to do, which was like, hey Siri, what is the side effects of metformin? And I started researching and watching videos, and everything was just not good. But I was like, can I lose weight with metformin? And so my weight, keep in mind, my weight wasn't an issue. It wasn't an issue at all because I was like, well, I'm 450 pounds. Who cares? Not like I'm gonna lose weight. But the doctor did tell me, he's like, well, you might die within a year, especially that you can't really feel your feet. Like all of the signs of diabetes are that you have diabetes. So it's like bad stuff might happen to you. So you better straighten out, or you can take metformin. And I'm like, is it gonna help me lose weight? He's like, yeah, it'll probably help you lose weight. I'm like, oh, cool, a lose weight pill. But anyways, when I started researching,
that's a big wake-up call, though, right? You're 31, 32, and someone tells you you can't feel your feet. That means, man, you're on the way to losing those feet. If it gets an infection or whatever, and they tell you you may die within a year, that's a big deal, right there.
I actually talked to a doctor as well. I'm like, well, again, there's a lot of cheerleading doctors out there, right? And I don't like that. That would be my advice. Find someone who's just like kind of straight with you. And don't feel bad when they're straight with you. Like my feet used to hurt. I used to get up in the morning, I couldn't walk properly. I used to be like limping and stuff. And I used to have to let the blood flow down to my feet to be able to walk. And getting up in the morning was a good maybe half an hour just to be able to get the blood flowing. Anyways, what happened is the other doctor said, "Oh no, that's fine. It happens once in a while. Your feet they go like this." It's
No,
again
he did not.
cheerleaders, right? So I felt really like now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, well, that's the reason why I went to go study it all myself. On my way home, as I was researching, I just realized I'm like, I don't want to take any medicines because the side effects are really bad. And he also gave me another medicine for my cholesterol, which was apparently high. So what I did is I was like, okay, if I take this medicine and this medicine, both these medicines, it's just going to totally clash with one another. I'm going to die sooner than the diabetes. The medicines are going to kill me. So I decided to reverse everything by myself. And so that was
Okay.
my wake up call. That right there was my wake up call. But it wasn't to lose weight. I still didn't care about losing weight. It was just about the diabetes because I didn't think I can lose that much weight. I didn't think like I'm going to lose 200 pounds, 300 pounds. I don't think that's even possible at all to lose that much weight. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
hey, I'm happy with my weight. I just want to be healthy at this point because it's like priorities at this point. It's like, well,
Yes.
you weigh a lot, but you're gonna die. So what would you rather focus on? Okay, focus on
Not dying.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Like, cause I have patients that do have diabetes and they're like, I'm pretty strict on them. I'm like, you have to be strict because it's a matter of you losing your feet or losing your kidneys or stuff like that. So I'm really happy you did not go with the cheerleaders because telling you that, oh, it's not a big deal. Oh, you're fit. No, you're 31 years old. How long are you going to live with that for? So, wow. So thank you. So what exactly did you do? Because you went from 400 and something pounds and you lost about 200. That's a huge amount of weight loss.
Right.
So what did you do exactly? How did you achieve this this enormous goal, right? How did you do that?
So I started. So on my way home,
Mm-hmm.
story continues now. On my way home, as I was researching, I came across a doctor, a diabetes doctor. She was actually an obesity doctor.
Okay.
Her name was Sarah Halberg, and see, I don't know if she's an advocate of the keto diet. I
Okay.
don't think she is because she's a medical doctor, and normally medical professionals are not advocates for the keto diet. Maybe,
It
maybe
depends on
not.
who you're talking to.
But
For like,
this was back then because keto
okay.
diet wasn't even popular at that time. It
Oh,
wasn't. There was no such thing as the keto diet then.
oh,
So that's why I was thinking about it right now. I was like, oh my god, it's so popular because I stopped. I'll tell you what I did. So I went and watched a video of hers, how to reverse diabetes naturally. It's a very, very, very famous TED talk that she did.
I saw it. I saw
You
it.
see that one?
I
And I
did.
was like, I heard it and I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. I can do this. And then so I watched it, and then she had I'm not going to spoil the video, you can watch it yourself, but she had the 5 rules of eating. But the one rule that was the hardest rule, which was the no GPS rule. No grains, potatoes, sugars. Simple. No
Hmm.
grains, potatoes, sugar. It might seem easy when you look at it, but when you actually put it in your plate and you start looking at that, you're like, oh my God, there's always going to be some grain there. There's potatoes eventually for me translated into starchy vegetables. So carrots, etc. But who cares about that? I stuck with removing potatoes. And sugars is anything that's sweet. Anything that's sweet. So keep in mind, cake has grains, bread has grains. Anything that sugar would be what you put in. So you're basically stripping your food of anything.
No
So
rice?
no rice, nothing.
Yes.
So again, it's a drastic approach right here, right? But then she said, you want to reverse it? This is how you're going to do it. I started to follow that. Do you believe it or not? Within 2 months, I lost 30 pounds.
What?
Within 2 months. And I realized now it was water weight, but it's still
Uh,
okay. My face went in and I was looking small. I was able to actually walk a little bit more without sweating like crazy. I still remember I was like 33 pounds. Yeah, I'm smaller now.
that's
Eventually,
amazing. I don't care if it was water weight.
well,
That's
whatever it was. But then I remember I reached 410, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm so happy about this." And then 449, 4876. You're watching this thing going down on the scale, right? And then so a lot of that. So that's what I started, which was this particular diet. There's a few rules I can't remember what they are, but like one of them is eat when you're hungry, don't eat when you're not hungry. Simple rules. If it comes in a
very
box,
hard. Very hard.
if it comes in a box, don't eat it. Real food doesn't come in a box. Another one was eat real food. So anything processed, if you can't read the ingredients, don't even bother touching it. And then another one was the no GPS rule. There's a few that she mentions 5 rules of eating. And I really promote that when I talk to my own clients who have diabetes. I'm like, 5 rules of eating, follow this. And they're like, oh, where do you get this from? I'm like, Sarah Halberg. And I even called her out. She called me out on Twitter as well. And if I ever could get to Indianapolis, I'm gonna go see her because she made a huge change. Like she doesn't even know, but she made a huge change. So she got the HuffPost article that I sent you, and then she actually messaged me. She's like, "Oh, thanks so much for like calling me out and stuff." I'm like, I'm gonna give credit where it's due. I can't. It doesn't matter what anyone says. But this is what I went onto this dietary approach, which was very low carb. Her philosophy was if carbohydrates is what's causing you to your diabetes, because sugar causes diabetes, so therefore remove that. And then in the video, she talks about not conspiracy, but like a few points there. It's very, very interesting. But then she also says that nutritionists have said that you have to eat almost 150 grams or 120 grams of carbs per day. But she's like, why would you do that if that's what's causing your sickness? And then when I researched it, I realized that carbohydrates made up of H2O and carbon, right? That's all that it is, which is the exact same as fat, with a few differences. So like if you, the body can create that H2O and carbon. It's very, very simple, and it can create it to the amount that you need. The only essential, like they're all essential, they're all macronutrients, but the most essential and the highest on the list is proteins, which a lot of people don't realize how important proteins are. But eating food outside, the amount of protein that you're getting is very limited. People are eating less than 40 grams, 50 grams of protein per day, and their carbs is sometimes over 300-400 grams of carbs. So it's like, if you're not going to get diabetes, I don't even know what you're going to get. So something weird's going to happen. So I went on this eating approach for a good two years. What that did for me is I started to drop weight a lot. And then at that point, my wife said, well, maybe you should consider looking into getting some insurance for yourself and like this and that. So then I contacted Sun Life and I moved to Edmonton. So I talked to one of my doctors and he said, okay, well, you're going to have to get your blood work done. And I have PTSD from blood work. As you can tell, I don't like it at all because it's just anxiety. I'm like, oh my God, blood work. So anyways, I was like, sure, whatever. I did my blood work and my A1C was at 5.3.
Whoa. Okay, all right, let me break that down. You went from 10 point, I can't remember the number. 10.3 to 10.8, right?
Around there, yeah.
Yeah, to 5.3. 5.3 means no diabetes, okay? So you went from full-blown diabetes to no diabetes. That is amazing. I just want to clap right now. That is amazing. Seriously, that is amazing.
But then what happens is that many doctors don't believe that you can reverse diabetes. So he's like, we're going to do another blood test. But go off your diet 3 months later, just eat normal. Eat potatoes, rice, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay. I did that. I went off. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. This tastes cake. Oh my God, it tastes so awesome. Like, so happy about it. I did another blood test after that, and it was 5.3. So I mean, in other words, even with the recycling of the blood cells and everything, it was gone. And I was, and so what he told me, he's like, congratulations, you don't have diabetes. And it was like exactly the opposite of what I was told when he started. But not the same doctor, the other doctor had said, you have diabetes. And I was so happy. Like with the blood work, I went and I copied it. And now people don't understand how important this is to me. I copied it and I was gonna frame it, but then I kept it on my files and I have it right there. It's always on my desktop. My blood work from that day, because it's a huge change. Anything can kill you, but this is one of those things that really make a crazy impact on you. So I went on this diet. What I did change was this diet that I went on, which was the 5 rules of eating. I followed those. I mean, I kept on going on them. Then I started to introduce carbs. And then as I started to introduce carbs, I was back to normal and everything kept going pretty good for me.
Okay, so let me break down what he just said, okay? All right, so he did the blood test. He was 5.3 when he wanted to get life insurance, right? And then he went back to eating normally, eating his starches, grains, all that stuff. 3 months later, he went back to check it. While they check it in 3 months, it's because the blood cells recycle, right? The old cells die and new blood cells come on. And so if he had that, if it was all a fad, right? If it was all this diet was a fad, and he now has new blood cell, he should have diabetes, right? But did not. He was still 5.3, which meant this whole diet, this way of living had totally changed his system. That is amazing. Okay, that is just amazing. So you did all this with diet, no exercise.
No exercise at all. Because when I started exercise, things changed for me.
Oh.
It changed for the opposite. And I was like, what's going on? See, this is part two of this awesome book that I'm writing. I'm just joking, but this is part two.
Seriously, you need to write a book on this. People need to hear this.
So I'll just give you the 5 rules. I actually found it here. It's like basically, if it eat food that the way it comes, if it says light, low fat, or fat free on it, it stays in the grocery store. That's the first rule. Number 2, eat real food. Eat real food. In other words, what the Prophet ﷺ would consider to be food,
Yes.
that's what you eat. What any individual who doesn't know about boxed foods, what they would consider food, like a cave person, someone out there in the cave, what they would consider to be food, that's what you eat. Something you consider real food, and real food doesn't come in a box, right?
Yeah.
Rule number 3, eat what you like. If it doesn't taste good, don't eat it. Number 4, eat when you're hungry, don't eat when you're not hungry. And number 5, no GPS. That's the 5 rules of eating.
Okay, it's not easy. It's not. It's good.
You'll learn.
Yes, you need to have a lot of self-discipline to be able to achieve that. So yes, you need a medal.
So did I start?
Good one.
Thank you. Did I start working out? How was my workout? When I started working out, what happened is at first my weight dropped. My weight dropped from 320 to 280. And then at 280, it stopped. And it just stopped. Like, it didn't go anywhere. It's just stalled. And it stalled like that for almost 2 years. Almost a year and a half, 2 years. And which is, for me, I'm used to seeing it just go down, 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 down. And just stalls. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm working out. I'm running and doing whatever it is I'm doing. I started even doing boxing and stuff, and nothing was working. So then I went and I talked to a sports nutritionist, and I said, tell me what's going on. So what she told me, she said, you need to start eating carbs. You need to fuel your workout. If you're not going to fuel your workout, the body's not going to. So then she put me on a plan where I was eating carbs before my workout, eating carbs after my workout, and we're talking almost 350 grams of carbs per day.
What?
Almost 200 grams of protein per day. And almost like 60 grams of fat. See, that's pretty low. You believe it or not, within 4 months, I dropped 50 pounds. Just straight down. Which is very amazing to me. And I just kept on dropping because of that. And it's very, very strategic. So that's when I realized, you know what, I need to study. I need to understand this, because one lifestyle catered to one diet, and the second I switched my lifestyle, another diet needed to come in, and this diet wasn't helping me out. Even when I'm doing boxing, so if I'm just boxing, this typical boxing, punching. When I was eating a very low carb diet, I know it as a low carb diet. When I was eating this low carb diet, I was able to go for 3 hours, but my punching was maybe like this. 3 hours. When I say like this, I mean, I'm exaggerating, but I was able to go for 3 hours. When I started eating carbs, my punches were so much harder. But my energy level was very less. So I was able to go for 45 minutes, very intense, and wasn't basically high intensity workouts. It was hard for me to do on a low carb diet. Now, what's interesting is, for me, it was this eating pattern that I was following, and then all of a sudden, this keto diet became really popular, and I started researching it. I'm like, oh, what's this keto diet? Because I was getting into nutrition and studying it now, right? I actually enrolled into nutrition and was into a school, and I'm a nutritionist. So what happened is I started to research it, and I was like, keto diet, this is interesting. Oh my God, they're technically doing what I'm doing. This is an interesting diet. Oh, they're lowering their protein a little bit. Oh, wow. Whoa, this is interesting. But body goes into ketosis. That's why it's called keto diet. I was doing a whole research on it, and it became so popular. And I was like, wow. It started gaining so much popularity when I started walking out of it, which was interesting for people. They're like, but this is the way. How come you're leaving it? And I'm like, because I can't do it with my workouts. It's not going to work out. I mean, I started gaining weight in my workout. When I was doing like heavy workouts on a low carb, I started gaining weight. And I've noticed this. I went up from like 280 back to 300, and I was like, oh, I can't do that.
Oh, no.
I was like, no, no, no. So I needed to change it up. And now, what happened recently, I started to feel a little bit lethargic. Like a year ago. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go back on a low carb diet. It felt really good when I was on it for like a month. So then I went on a low carb diet, and I was shocked. I told my wife, it's so interesting how the keto diet has made such a change in the world that I can find low carb on the shelves. I can find this is low carb, that's low carb. When I was doing it, I had to like make recipes in my head and figure things. I still have original recipes, like put things in my head and like make stuff up. But now it's like go to the store, that's low carb. There's restaurants catering to low carb, which was so interesting. Over there, it's like, I would like a burger without a bun. And they're like, how do you do that? Now they actually lettuce wrap it. Back then, I remember they were just putting the burger in a little box and giving it to you. Now it's a whole art. And I was like, why wasn't this there when I was doing this?
Oh my gosh.
Really funny. Now, so the one thing, when I started to work out, I needed to change my approach. And then when I studied the science around it, I realized, yes, I do need to change my approach. If I'm doing like powerlifting, like squats or deadlifts and stuff, I'll be able to deadlift 350 pounds. I can deadlift 350 pounds, but on a low carb diet, I'm deadlifting 250. Wow. I have some carbs before, get that energy, and then I'll deadlift 350 pounds. And if I do it on a low carb, if I end up having to deadlift at 350 pounds or whatever, my body is going to be very sore after. It's going to be very sore, and soreness is going to last for 3 or 4 days. With carbs, the soreness lasts 2 days max.
Wow.
So when I understood that the nutritional changes, then it was so eye-opening for me.
Wow. So this is just telling me you need to work with professionals, all right? You just don't, because you need to realize that certain things require certain types of diet. I didn't know that. So this is like a huge eye-opener for me. And yes, I'm hoping to get a personal trainer very soon and fitness coach to help me achieve my health goals in that respect. So a lot of people don't have the type of tenacity you have. Okay, so how can people do this and not get frustrated about the whole process, especially when you're doing so much exercise and you're not even budging on the scale? That's very frustrating.
That was frustrating.
Yes.
But it's not as hard as if you're the only one in your family doing it. That's the hardest thing. So if we're talking birthdays, if we're talking family visits, if you're talking restaurants, I mean, I remember like my heart was like, oh my God, I can't do this. Only a few times I'm like, I have to do this. It's determination. But I went to a restaurant with my family, and they ordered this like fresh bread, and the smell, I was like, oh, I need this. But I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do this. It's gonna be hard. So that's the biggest temptation, is that I always say break it up into 2 weeks. There was the Atkins diet. I was thinking they had like a 2-week approach or something like that, which the first 2 weeks is what will set your mind into a particular diet, and you have to really be firm on it because your body is not used to it. Your body's switching its eating pattern. Your brain is rewiring itself at this point, and you're gonna get headaches. Your body's not used to it. You're gonna get headaches. You're gonna feel like you have coronavirus. You're gonna get all of those symptoms. You're gonna come in and feel like headaches and sweating, and you're gonna be in bed, sometimes even shaking. I was in the hospital. I had diabetes, right? So like all of those things will happen, but then when you go to the hospital, then they're going to give you orange juice and a little sandwich to eat, and I'm going to be like, I'm not going to eat it, and then they think you're crazy. Also, be like, look at this person, we won't eat our foods, right? Whatever. So, but you have to be very, very firm. The main thing, how I accomplish a lot in my life is I set goals and I stick to those goals. It's hard to do. I didn't have any support. I mean, when I say support means people pushing me to do it. No, my wife was there, and when I say she was supporting me, sure, she was like, yeah, good, you're doing it, awesome, right? Supporting me from that point of view, but I didn't have anyone pushing me towards it. I needed to figure it out myself. I understand it can be hard for people. It can be very hard for people, but determination is one of those things. If you want to die early, then continue doing what you're doing. And that's what I told myself. I'm going to die early. So I can't do that. I need to be there for my kids when they grow up. So a lot of these points that motivate you, these are things that I start to focus on. It doesn't have to do with anything else. It's just in your head. It's just in your head. For example, um, last night I was sitting down. During this quarantine, I did gain a little bit of weight. I can tell. I think everyone. I'm not sure. But
Everybody. That's why I'm getting a fitness coach now. Like, I'm done.
I did gain a little bit, so I was like, okay, I can't do this. Ramadan is over. In Ramadan, every Ramadan, I normally gain weight, even though I'm eating less, which is a little bit of a myth. But as to why people say all kinds of weird stuff, but I do gain a little bit of weight. So this Ramadan just finished. I set myself a schedule. I'm gonna take this interview with you, and as soon as I'm done, change my clothes, go to the garage, and just do some kickboxing. So that's already in my schedule to put it in. And this coffee over here is my pre-workout. This is gonna give me energy. So that's how I plan my day. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I don't care what's gonna come in the middle. That's how it's gonna happen. And then when I set my mindset the night before, I wake up and I'm like, yes, take on the day. A lot of people, what they start doing is they don't set their mindset at all from the beginning. They're not gonna set their mindset at all. They're gonna take it. They're gonna just take it as the day goes. They're like, okay, we'll see what happens. If that's the first step to failure, the first step to failure is not prepping, not preparing. I'm not talking about bodybuilding, preparing your meals. That's boring. Make rice and chicken every day. That's the worst thing in the world. I don't even know why they do that. But what I do is every single night, I have an app on my phone. I'm not going to promote random apps right now, but I mark out what I'm going to eat for dinner, what I'm going to eat for lunch, what I'm going to eat for breakfast, what I'm going to eat for my 2 snacks. I mark out how much protein, carbs, and then I write it all down. So I know exactly what I'm eating tonight for snack, for dinner, for lunch, and it's actually very, very yummy. It's a lot more tasty. Like, I remember my wife, she reached into my plate and ate something from my plate, and she was like, that's so yummy. I'm like, exactly. Sarah Halbert's rule, only eat that which tastes good. If it doesn't taste good, don't eat it. I make sure that that's what it is. I prep my food, and prepping my food helped me start preparing a lot of things in my life. So for example, setting goals, creating a to-do list, and following through with a lot of those things, that it's really helped me out. Waking up early and just getting on with the day, that's really helped out.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So that's important, because I'm also of the opinion of plan your work and work your plan, right? So that's exactly what you're saying. And so I think that's a very important point. Do you have any other thing you want to make sure people get away from all this? We've talked for a long time. Very interesting discussion. I could go on all day, but is there any one thing that stands out to you that you want to make sure people get from all this? I have already gotten one. Plan your work and work your plan. So any that you like?
Building off of that, there's a few things that I do. Number one is when you're planning your meal specifically, start from dinner. Don't start with breakfast. I always start with dinner and then I go backward. I do my dessert or dinner and then lunch and then breakfast. I always do it that way because sometimes if I'm planning breakfast, lunch, and then I'm like, it's dinner time, and I'm like, oh man, I don't have enough food, I don't have enough calories or food or whatever to eat at dinner time because I ate everything already during the day. If I know if I'm going to go out to eat, which I hate going out to eat now, but if I was to go out to eat at a restaurant, I will look at their menu beforehand and then mark down exactly what I'm going to be eating and mark it beforehand.
Wow.
There's two things. One is your health and one is your finances. These two areas, health and finances, we've let the world and society dictate how we should be spending it or how we should be using it. And that's the worst thing we can do. Ourselves, our bodies and ourselves, as well as our wealth, was given to us for us to take charge of. And within all religions, you'll find verses in the Bible and the Quran, different verses that talk about yourself and your wealth, yourself and your wealth, yourself and your wealth. We have certain rights on ourselves. We have certain rights on our wealth. And I feel like what we've done is we've let society decide how our health should be, and we've let the financial managers and society decide how our wealth should be. And if we take that in our hands, we would be a lot more wealthy and using our wealth properly. And number two, we would be a lot more healthy and using our health properly. That's like one thing that, if there's something that I want everyone to take away, it's that one point over there. And then planning, just really plan it out. If you don't plan it out, then you're setting yourself for failure. And this is your health. The way you plan a trip because you want it to be successful, well, plan your health because you want it to be successful as well. And it's really tough to do. It's not easy because we're not used to it. But when you start doing it, it's one of those pictures. You know, they say once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you've done it, you can't turn away from it. You just can't. You really can't because you try to turn away from it. You're like, no, I can't.
Wow, this is profound. This is profound. This is amazing. Alrighty, Uthman. So, how can people get in touch with you after the show if they would like to ask you for help, or if they like enroll you to be their nutritionist or whatever stuff like that? So, how can they get a hold of you?
I do have a website. So I am in the midst of my education. I actually I went ahead and I started to study healing. So I am a sports therapist. So I'm not a physiotherapist, but I'm a sports therapist as well as so I've worked on professional athletes. And so I work with I have a whole team that I work with. The website that I use right now, where anyone can get in contact with me, I mean, anyone can email me anytime, but the website that I use for people to get in contact with me is called Nutri Fitness Reform, Nutri, so Nutri Fitness, Fitness, reform.com. Now, the main idea is to reform fitness and nutrition. Over there, you can read up a little bit more about me as well. There's a whole bodywork section in there, and bodywork is where I do healing through bodywork. I'm not a massage therapist at all, but I'm a sports therapist. So someone comes up, like a lot of clients will come to me with injuries, like I have a shoulder injury or I have a back injury or I'm limping. So what I do is I work on the connective tissue in the body. Connective tissue is not the muscles. So that's why you come to me, there's no pain. Like a massage therapist will go into the muscle or a physiotherapist will dig into the muscle. I work at a connective tissue level, meaning a lot more superficial. But when I work a lot more superficial, I get a lot more deep in. I can get right to the bone because of that with no pain at all. People, they come to sleep on my tables. So it's a lot more, and that's how I work with them. But this is all in-person stuff. So if anyone's in Edmonton, get in contact with me that way.
So, Edmonton, Canada, right?
Edmonton, Canada, yeah, it's the West Coast. Nutrition, there's also nutrition that you can connect with me with. If you have any questions, always. Nutri Fitness Reform also has an Instagram page. Their Facebook is there, but it's kind of dead. But because I don't know, new generation not really using Facebook anymore. But
so for nutrition, they can do online with you, right?
They can, yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So this was really informative, okay? And you talked about an email. Did you have an email address you wanted to share?
The email address, they can just quite literally just send an email to info@nutrifitnessreform.com, and then they'll forward the email to me because I have a whole team that's working in the background. Sometimes I'm just walking around with people following me with a camera. It's a little annoying, but oh well.
So it sounds to me like this whole journey has given you a whole different lifestyle approach and also a different way to market yourself. That's what I'm getting from all this, right?
Oh, I have a few things that I'm focusing on in my own life.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with nutrition and not even in my academics. So that's my own focus. Nutrition and fitness, etc., is more of a hobby of mine.
Okay.
More of a hobby. So many times people come for body work. I won't even charge them for a session. I'll be like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. If it's nutrition, then when it comes to nutrition, there's a few things that I do. First of all, I'll take an intake form, which is very extensive because, as you know, there's no one size fits all. Like I was in that, it was working. I switched to that. I started gaining weight when I should have technically been losing weight. So there's a whole intake form, and then I do a whole case study type thing on you where I will write up a whole holistic prescription. I'm a holistic nutritionist, so I do a whole holistic prescription. So that normally takes up a lot of time. So that's what that would cost you a little bit of money. But body work and stuff, I'm not too interested. I mean, in taking money from that. Clients come, they're in pain. Why should I take money for you being in pain? But if I'm ever in your area, if you need some work done, just let me know. Besides that, my regular job is my academics. I'm an academic dean of a college, an online college. So that's where I normally do my work. I focus over there. I work about 20-30 hours. If you start planning your life out, like to-do lists and stuff, you don't need to work 40 hours a week. I literally work 20 hours a week. That's all I do. Work 20 hours a week, and then this nutrition stuff is just on the side. So when you're working that way, your life, it becomes so much more easier. But that's my main focus is on theology, and I'm working in academics from that.
Awesome. So thank you so much. I learned a lot, and I hope you did too. So Thank you so much, Uthman. I hope next time if I do invite you, because this was really, really informative. So I hope next time if I invite you, you'll say yes. Okay?
For
Have
sure.
a wonderful
Thank you very
day.
much for having me as well.
Yeah, you have a wonderful day. So after listening to the show, right, there are 3 insights that I kind of drew from this. I was like, oh, we all listen to things and we forget. But there are 3 things I would like you to hold on to. 1, and most importantly, food. What is the definition of food? What would you call food? Well, food is what your ancestors will call food, right? It's that simple. When you go to the produce section, the ones that are not on the shelves, that is food. And that's what we should aim to eat, right? The things on the sides of the supermarket, right? Your rice, your beans, not the things in boxes and packages. 2, one size does not fit all. The type of food you need to reverse diabetes, it is different from the type of food you need to lose weight. Full stop. And then my 3rd insight is work with professionals, right? There's so much conflicting information out there. It's so hard to figure out which is right or wrong, but go to a qualified professional that actually knows what they're doing, and not someone that will kind of just be holding you and saying, oh, that's a good job. You need someone that will be strict with you and help you achieve your goals. I hope those insights were great and you benefited from them, but it was a really good podcast for me to listen to and gain more insight. So I wanted to share with you. Guess what? I have a free gift for you. Go to wellnesssearch.com and take the quiz there to find out if you possibly have high blood sugar. Or you can schedule a free call with me where I can share one thing that you can take action on to start feeling your best. If you've enjoyed the show, then follow us and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Information presented here is for educational purposes only, and it is not intended to diagnose or treat any disease. Please do not apply any of the information presented here without first speaking with your primary care provider. With best wishes to see you thrive. Have an awesome week.